can't give it to you that quick, dude.
Welcome to another video, and before we get too far into this, look how everyone's moving up and moving up. They kept moving each row up one at a time because it was such a long start, but want to hear something else really stupid that we both did, like Beavis and Butthead? We started on the wrong row. The row we were supposed to take off on was 30 seconds ahead of us. And like idiots, we're sitting there looking going, oh look, there's mini bikes on the row ahead of us. So Ryder was actually racing his YZ85, not a full-size bike. And we're looking around going, look, there's small bikes on the row ahead of us. How come we're not on that row? And I'm like looking to either side of us and I'm seeing 250s. I'm like, oh, whatever. It's our first time at NYOA this year. I forget how they do things, whatever. And by the way, it wasn't stupid the way that they kept moving everyone up. I thought that was actually pretty neat. Each row moving up 30 seconds, so the front row is equal distance from the first turn as the last row. What was stupid was that we were looking at that and we should have figured it out and we just didn't even know.
Anyway guys, I haven't spoke yet. Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I'm Ryder Sigety, for those that don't know. I'm a 3-time national GNCC champion, and what's it called?
And I can't read my notes and talk at the same time. It's very complicated.
He's trying to point out notes to me while I'm writing hand-scratched notes. Well, anyway, guys, this is the NYOA Baldwin Trail Riders in Elmira, New York, and it was a really muddy race. You can't really tell right now, but as you see here, it's muddy, and that was a common theme. The whole race was just so muddy.
So I know we kind of talked about some of this in the last video, and I apologize if you heard this, but this race was so muddy that it was the first time in our lives that the e-bikes didn't have enough power to do even one lap between the mud and the 13-mile course. One e-bike only made it like 2/3 of the way. And the other thing to really demonstrate how bad the mud was, and when I say it was bad, it wasn't like, up to the fenders bad, though there will be some ruts and you'll see them. It was just constant, like 6 inches, 8 inches of constant mud everywhere on the course that just made it like riding on slick ice. And people, can't do that for hours. But anyway, the course was so tough, even though every time I talk about it, it looks beautiful, and this does look pretty beautiful. Actually, this is in your intro, it looks so beautiful, and this is the most beautiful spot in the course. But it was so tough that there was only 300 racers in the main, which is very light. 100 people couldn't even do one lap, or did 1 lap or less. That was it. 100 of the 300 racers completed 1 lap or less. Matter of fact, at one point, Ryder said he lapped the same person twice who was still on her first lap and still moving when he passed her each time.
Here I made a couple bad decisions, and I was kind of following people's lines, and I kept getting caught up with these lappers, but I ended up getting around all of them eventually. It was just, I started to get frustrated a little bit.
Yeah, so one thing that NYOA does, which is a little unique to us, is they run the C class, B class, A class, and AA class all together at the same time, which is kind of unusual. I don't really have a problem with it, especially when the courses are long. And by the way, they estimated the lap times were going to be a half hour, and the only people that did a half-hour lap time was the AA's, and even they were a little more than that. The average lap time was closer to 1 hour for people. And like I said, some people, it took 2 hours to do 1 lap.
Yeah, like my dad was saying, the laps were so long. We were scared I wasn't going to make it to the gas because we were pitting for gas a little after the second lap was over. And, that guy almost fell. And, we didn't think that I was going to be able to make the length of the race till that time.
Let me clarify that. If the lap was close to 1 hour, we were unclear if he could make a second lap without running out of gas. We're like, this is crazy. Like, we were planning on doing it on the third lap when they said it was half-hour laps. So yeah, that was a little scary. That's a good line. I like that way that you went there. So this was Ryder's first NYOA race of the season, and he did 2 races in the same day, which he used to do when he was like 3, 4, 5 years younger, but hasn't done it since then. And being that the course was so tough, I think he was a little nervous to do 2 races in the same day. Were you?
Yeah, I was I was nearing the end of the first race, and I was like, I'm already tired. I don't want to do this for a whole nother 2 hours, and that was only an hour in. But I ended up making it work.
Actually, it was a little longer than an hour for your first race and a little longer than 2 hours for this race. It came out to 3.5 hours of racing in this mud the whole day. And again, you watch the video, it doesn't look so bad, but keep in mind, like I said, 100 people couldn't do more than one lap, and some of them did less than one lap. So I don't know if you know what the NYOA series is, but at one point they were hosting 2 GNCCs, I believe, a year in that series. So it's a pretty popular series. They do a great job. You can see they put up a lot of ribbon in the woods. They put up a lot of arrows. It's very easy to follow the course. It's a pretty professionally run series. I would recommend trying it. It's more on the faster open side as compared to ECEA, which is more, it's slower, ND6, slower, tighter, rockier, more single track.
Going up the upside of this hill, I guess, I felt like I almost ran into that guy. I was just praying on the fact that he would move out of the way before I got there.
A little more about the NYOA series. I didn't do the math on the adults because it's very difficult to figure out how many adults actually raced in J-Day, but we compared the youth J-Day compared to the NYOA series, and the NYOA series actually got like 25 more riders than the J-Day series got for youth, so just gives you an idea of the notoriety of the NYOA series. And we don't normally go crazy talking about results, but Ryder did win his class this day. I think only one other person.
There was Mr. Toscano. I just wanted to say, one of our friends.
Oh yeah, he's a great friend of ours, super nice guy. We ride with him occasionally, and his son Nick. What were we saying about the J-Day series?
You're talking about the turnout.
Oh yeah, so yeah, the J-Day's pretty popular series, and NYOA is even as popular, or maybe even more. Oh man, look at that rut. What did you say? It was like you couldn't even keep your feet on the pegs there?
Yeah, I know. The rut was like too deep to keep my feet on the pegs. I just had them like off to the side paddling.
So actually, a little bit of an interesting story. The only time Ryder raced more than 3.5 hours of racing was an ECA about 5 years ago at the Oxbow Hare Scramble, where they had a restart for the second race of the day, and it took them an hour to get the kids off the course to do the restart, and it was so hot that day. And that was your second race of the day, so you did 2 races plus the restart an hour into the race. That was a pretty brutal day.
So even though I won my class, I did have a little bit of some complications. I was going down a straightaway towards the end of the second lap, and I hit a tree, which is happens a lot to me actually. But I hit a tree, and I rode like a little girl for the rest of the race. I rode slow, and I remember like for the rest of the race I was embarrassed because people were taking videos of me, and visibly you couldn't tell that anything was wrong. It just looked like I was riding really slow. Right here, I tried to get out of the rut, and my bike just kind of tipped over, so I didn't really know what I was doing. I kind of figured I couldn't get out of the rut, but it was fine, just a little tip over. But then I was looking ahead to this really deep rut. It was almost fun to ride through, though. It was like a roller coaster, or like a train track. It was just taking my front tire and my rear tire where it wanted, because it's so slippery.
So this was originally intended to be Ryder's first race on a big bike. We have a YZ85. It's an older one. It's actually older than Ryder. Oh, it's nasty. Look at that mud. It's a 2007, and I emailed the landowner. I don't know if he's a Club NYOA official, but the landowner. I said, hey, we're thinking of bringing Ryder's 144, or should he ride his 105? What do you think would be the conditions of the course? And it was kind of funny. He wrote back, oh, the course looks great. This was Friday. Maybe two spots are muddy and the rest looks awesome. And they're like, oh, okay. So we brought the 144, and he was going to race it. And then we saw the course. We're like, oh my God, no way. But we didn't have like everything really ready for this bike to be raced twice. So as soon as he got off the course, I had to basically clean it off. All I had was like a little fire extinguisher, and I just kept trying to clean it and see what I can see, and just basically put gas in and sent them out there. Oh, and here's something I haven't said in a while. If you could please like, subscribe, and comment. Comment is so helpful to Ryder. He works so hard on these videos. It takes him forever to edit them. It's like literally every second of the day, I'm like, are you being productive? Do you have a free moment? Go work on your video. And like, it takes a lot. You gotta watch these videos over and over again. You don't know where to start and stop the scenes you're gonna use. And as you can see, we don't use any of the muddy scenes, which kind of sometimes makes the video not quite as fluid. Like, we miss the end of the video and stuff. But so anyway, say anything. Say, Mike, we heard you last week. I'm commenting. I got it. Whatever. You can say, Ryder, I can't believe you ride so fast because you look like such a nerd. Whatever it is. That looks nasty there. Any comment would help. Thank you so much.
So, I'm not too familiar with him, but someone, I don't know their full name, I feel bad. Cole got really hurt this race. He didn't really get hurt because of the race. He had brain bleeding, and they started GoFundMe. And I just wanted to say I hope he feels better, and I hope he's getting better. So, like the last couple of races, the RV had to be towed into this race, which it's, well, not for me so much, but for my dad, I know it's really stressful, always trying to find a parking spot. And then when we get stuck and we're breaking stuff in the RV, that usually doesn't help. Right there, you see, I went off to the side of the course, and that guy hid behind the tree, because he thought I was going to hit him, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and as speak of being towed in, somebody I tried to help me in, really nice guy, he tried to tow me, then he got stuck trying to tow me, not stuck, but he couldn't tow me, and then someone else towed him to tow me in, and I went to find him later in the race, and I kept missing him, and then next thing I know, he was gone, but hopefully he sees this video, and he accepts my thank you again.
So we didn't have time in between races to go to the podium, so I ended up just going up to the podium while my dad worked on the bike. I went up to the podium on my e-bike, which is a little weird, like everyone was on their dirt bikes and I was just sitting there on my e-bike.
Yeah, that was weird, and it turned out there was a delay, so we did have enough time to work on the bike, but it's only supposed to be like an hour later or so, and that's really not enough time to wash a completely muddy bike and check out the tires and get the gas in and do whatever else we got to do, the air filter and so forth, which actually the air filter was fine. And one other thing about this, which was a little difficult, is that there was no live scoring, so we really didn't know how you were doing and how far ahead or behind you were. It was very difficult to figure out.
So I was able to finish this race just using one pair of goggles, which for such a muddy race, I think is pretty crazy that I could get the whole race out of one pair of Scots.
Okay, and speak of a little sponsor plug, I am going to talk just a minute about Regina chains. I've been using myself Regina chains for 30 years, and so has Ryder, and we have never had a single Regina chain failure. We did have two chains, one break, but that wasn't because of a problem with the chain. One was because I was not keeping an eye on my master link, which was really stupid of me. And the other was we actually got a sprocket that was made incorrectly and had the wrong pitch. And we didn't know until the chain broke. We put a new chain on. I'm like, this doesn't fit right. But really, in 30 years, they have been awesome. So if you're ever looking for a chain and you're concerned about racing, I highly recommend the Regina.
Not to glaze NYOA, but we have another cool thing about the NYOA series is that they have two races going on at the same time all day long, which means they have to have two separate courses. Oh, here's Vince Caramana cheering me on. He was a course worker for this race, and he was helping someone, and I gave him a little thumbs up. That's why I took my hand off the handlebar. But they have two races going at the same time, which means two tracks. Right here, sorry, I stopped because I didn't want to get caught in a rut behind someone that wasn't moving, but once I saw that person was moving, I went. But two races going on at the same time means two scoring, and it just seems like really complicated to have two times the amount of people working, just so you can get it all in on Sunday, because they don't do any races on Saturday here.
Yeah, I have been involved for many years of putting on races, and it's like everything we can do to get the course and the workers and the scoring and everything and the trail sweeps to get it right. And here these guys are doing two races at the same exact time. Matter of fact, at one point I went to see if I could find you, and I ended up watching the wrong race for a second. I'm like, wait, there's quads in this race. Oh yeah, two races at the same time.
So right there, I hit my elbow. That's where I hit my elbow, which it didn't feel too good. So I took a little break, and I told myself I was gonna count to 30. I ended up counting to 40, and then I went.
Yeah, we had a friend whose kid hurt his elbow really bad at the last GNCC. He's got hardware in there, nerve damage, several operations since then because it's rejecting what's in him. Elbow's a tough thing. We started contemplating going back to elbow guards, but we've had some bad experiences with those too, where a tree will hook the guard and rip your arm off the bar. So it's a tough thing.
So there really wasn't much footage from the rest of the race. I mean, there was a little bit, but I ended up just riding slow. Not too slow, but there was this one point where I was passing a girl, and my elbow hurt. Like as I was passing her, right, it was hurting the whole.
Passing her for the second time.
Yeah, I was lapping her. Sorry, and I turned around and she was still there. I was like, I need to go faster. I cannot be caught racing against this girl and battling with her. So I had to pick up the pace a little bit.
And maybe we should just clarify, we both have a ton of respect for girls or anyone who does racing. We have nothing against them. We're not trying to make fun of them, but I feel like racing motorcycles is a combination of wrestling and chess. And when I say wrestling, like the bigger you are, the better chances you have of doing well. And chess, the smarter you are, the better chance you have of doing well. And if you start off a wrestling match or a motorcycle match at a lesser strength, a lesser weight, you're not going to have problems. It's tougher. Matter of fact, when you watch the really small races, like the 50cc races, almost always the champion kids are the biggest kids. You rarely see a small kid in off-road become a champion. So kudos to girls or anyone who is smaller on size to be racing motorcycles. Definitely, you're doing at a bit of a disadvantage. Here's our awesome pit stop. Finally get to use our IMS tank at one of our local races. Doing a quick fill up. Look how fast that's going. It doesn't seem fast, but it was very fast. Cleaning the bike up a little bit, got our handguards. We got a nice pit stop here. And if you could hear what he's saying, he's like, I don't think I want to go out again. My elbow hurts.
That is a complete lie. I was asking what he thought I should do, but the last thing I wanted to do was quit because I don't like to quit.
Now, quitting is very bad. Once you quit once, it's always an option in your mind that you can quit again. So my advice to you is whatever you do, do not quit. If you got to ride slower, if you got to take a break, if you need some help, do it, but don't quit. Once you quit once, it's always an option on the table. So what happens here is you went straight, went around the wood line, and then came back right by the truck where we were at this pit, and I met you with Advil. In previous laps, I barely had time to make it over there to watch you. This lap, I had time to go back to the truck, find the Advil, meet in the woods, and I was there before you. So you definitely were riding a little slower. And by the way, he is not drinking Fiji water. He's drinking Hare nutrition in a Fiji water bottle.
Anyway, guys, the camera died pretty soon, so we don't have really much more footage. And I just want to say thank you for watching. Comment, say any questions down in the comments if you have them. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.